Hello and welcome to A View from the Top. I'm Adrian Crossley. A View from the Top is a regular podcast from the Centre for Strategic Communication Excellence, where I get to interview some of the world's leading communication professionals as we explore their career journey. Today I'm really excited to be talking to Alex Malouf, who works in corporate communications in the Indian subcontinent, Middle East and Africa at Procter & Gamble. Alex is Regional Director for IABC for Europe, Middle East and North Africa, as well as a board member with the Global Alliance, the governing body for our profession. Not only is Alex a senior communication professional, he was named as the first communications innovator in the MEA region by the Holmes Report. He is the only chartered marketer and senior communication management professional in the Middle East, gaining each of those qualifications over his career. I must admit, though, I smiled when I saw he did both the CMP and the SCMP with IABC. He's passionate about transforming marcoms and leading our industry, and did a great job as he led the conference for AMENA at Bahrain 2 weeks ago, which I was thrilled to attend. I think he's doing a great job at really promoting professionalism in our industry, certainly in the region. And not to mention, the conference in Bahrain was the first communication conference in the Gulf. So, Alex, it is great to be with you today. Welcome.
Likewise, it's great to be here, Adrian. Thank you for inviting me on.
I'm just so thrilled to be talking to you because and I have to say, I think we did talk in Bahrain that you are a bit of a junkie on these credentials, but I must admit, and we'll get to this later in the interview, that they must have helped you in your career. But what I'd like to do, if it's okay with you, is kind of flip back to how did it all start for you? What got you into communication in the first place?
First of all, thank you for the intro. Listening to all of that, makes me feel humble in terms of the journey. But I started off as a journalist. I'd studied politics and political science at the Middle Eastern University as my first degree, and I went into essentially research in journalism, and that's when my communications journey began. And that's where also I began to have a real love for the media profession and what good media and what good communication is all about.
What were some of those jobs that you thought that really advanced your career? So you started out in journalism. What was next? And really, what were some of the things that you felt advanced your career?
Well, I think, first of all, being a journalist opened my eyes in terms of what good stories can do to readers, how they move them, how they not just inform them, but also emotionally engage with them. And also as well, being a journalist, it teaches you how to ask those hard questions and really analyze what the answers are. So, you dig, you don't just simply, a good journalist doesn't just simply make do with the first answer, but you really probe and you try and get to the heart of an issue. So that's one. And, I will always have immense respect for anybody who works in the media because of that, because it is such an important profession, but it's also as well, it's a hard job to do, especially today. Moving into PR, I think my first big lesson was on the agency side, learning how things are done and also as well understanding how people on the agency side, how they deal both with the clients and also as well with the media and also with the stakeholders, and how they balance and how they have to get the job done to the best of their abilities, but also as well be at times diplomatic, be at times an advisor, and show the client what needs to be done and what can be done. And also as well explain to the media how the client works. And then moving to the client side, it was also an eye-opener in terms of how the client works, how management is, how management views communications, and what communications means to different types of organizations. So all of those things have given me different viewpoints, different experiences, which really have made me what I am today as a communicator.
And Alex, looking at the client side, when you certainly worked more on the consulting world, was it, and I don't mean this to be a leading question, but was it really about the understanding of business as well as communication that really added to that mix? And gave you the ability to have those senior level conversations?
Very much so. I was looking at the questions that you shared, and that was one thing which came to mind. Understanding how the business works, understanding business priorities, understanding how the organization works in terms of goal setting and how communications then comes into that. That's what distinguishes for me somebody who is a senior communicator and somebody who is coming in to simply execute. And if you understand, the better you understand the business, the more you're able to make an impact as a communicator. Because you understand what the business wants to achieve, where it wants to go, and then you're able to fit communications around that and amplify the impact of what communications can do, both internally and also externally. The other lesson I learned when I went into the client side was the importance of internal communications. What communications means for employees, how they learn about what is happening within the business in a structured manner, how they can engage with management, how we can help those conversations happen between the different parts of the organization. Often people in the organization, they talk informally and you have those informal networks, but communicators can bring everybody together within the organization. And they do the same outside as well. They offer a window both to the internal stakeholders. They show the management what is happening in the outside world, because often in big organizations, people are very much focused on the organization itself. They don't look outside, but also as well, they help other stakeholders outside understand what is happening within the organization and what the organization is trying to do to essentially impact change within society.
You look at where the world is going today, and particularly in our profession, there's a couple of observations, and I would say the whole world of marketing and communication is coming closer, and it's great to see that you work in that area of comms, and obviously your background in media, being a journo. What do you think is the key to having authentic conversations in this world? Because we are living in a very what I would call a fractured world now. But what do you think the key is to having conversations, and what role do organizations have in having these conversations about doing good in society?
One thing I loved about Amina back in Bahrain a couple of weeks back was a focus on listening. Listening to different opinions, listening to viewpoints, and bringing that all together. And I think that's a big role that we should be playing as communicators. It's not simply talking. I think that's what we've got to do a better job of. We've got to start listening more and seeing what our external stakeholders and also as well internal stakeholders really care about. So what matters to them? And then bringing those insights into the organization and sharing it with management and saying, look, this is what people want to see us doing. And then shaping how we then communicate, but not just simply about the organization and its day-to-day actions, but what its values are, what its purpose is, and where we want to be headed, how we want to impact society. I'll give you a great example. If you look, I'm not going to talk about my own organization, but you can talk about, say, Nike and others. What Nike is doing around the whole issue of gender equality. They just put out a piece of content a day ago through Serena Williams talking about women in sport. And that was incredibly moving. And I think we've also got a role to play when it comes to creating that content, because communicators, by our nature, we are content creators. But we also do more than that. The difference between us and a marketer is we help to promote dialogues. Often in marketing, you put out a piece of content and then you leave it there. But we can try and take those conversations further and get people talking about issues which matter to society and try and promote positive change in society. So at our best, I do think we can make a huge difference, not just within organizations and pushing organizations to do the right thing, but also as well getting societies to move in a direction which will promote progress for everyone.
the influence that we can have as communication professionals is just huge, and it certainly sounds like you're passionate about our role in the profession. And tell me a little bit about how, because you've worked in the Middle East, and I don't know how many years it is now, and you can tell me that, but do you see there's a big difference to working in the Middle East market to working in other markets around the world? What's some of the differences that you've seen?
Well, I've been in the Middle East for 15 years. I am originally from the Middle East and also as well from Europe, so I'm really a third culture kid. And the Middle East is, like many of their emerging markets, it is developing quickly when it comes to communications. You see a lot more communicators, a lot more senior communications roles on the client side. You see a lot of agencies coming up and growing very quickly. I think when it comes to emerging markets, one thing which we do need to be, it's an exciting place to work, something like the Middle East, but one thing we do need to be careful of is not drinking the Kool-Aid too much. I think there's a lot of focus on the positive in terms of societal changes and organizational changes, but I do think we need to be more honest about what is happening and what we can do to try and foster change. And going back to the event 2 weeks ago, that's what I loved when I heard one of our keynotes, Dawn Metcalf, talk on the concept of what she describes as hard talk, having straight conversation and telling it like it is. We really should not cherry pick, or we should not describe the situation in rosy terms. We all see what's happening, and we need to have conversations which are transparent, which describe what is happening on the ground to foster change, the change that we all want to see. If we describe it any other way, we're not going to make the same impact.
I absolutely agree, Alex, and I think that it shows commitment and passion within the profession, and it's nice to see that what you're dealing with there in the Middle East is very similar to what I think the world is dealing with right now, with some nuances around emerging markets. If I looked at a couple of things just to kind of wrap up our conversation today. If you were to distill what it is that you're really passionate about now, you've had these amazing career learnings, and I'm here sensing your passion for the profession and the way that we can have conversations. But what is it that you're really passionate about now? Tell me a little bit about maybe the job that you're doing right now, both with Procter & Gamble and also in the profession as a whole. What is it you're passionate about, and what is it that you're going to drive?
Well, with P&G, what I love to do is drive positive change, and we do a lot of big things at P&G. It could be around the issue of gender equality. It could be around a need to promote sustainability as well, and we're driving in those directions, to try and make a difference in local communities, but also as well in the wider society. What I love is we have a major role to play here in terms of influencing people internally as to what we do, and then going out and engaging our stakeholders in these conversations. We can drive these issues forward, and that's what I would love to see more communicators doing. Sort of stepping away from the day-to-day tactics, the day-to-day issues that we all have to deal with, to thinking bigger picture, thinking, what can we really do which will make a difference not just for me, but also for my children. And that's what I absolutely love about the potential for comms. Now, what I'm also passionate about, which is linked to this, is trying to promote professionalism in the industry. I think we, as communicators, have done we've made some incredible progress, but I think there's much more that we need to do when it comes to promoting professionalism through certification, through training, through whatever form it may take, but getting people to understand we are not just simply, here as a function. We're actually here as a profession. Communicators are people who are trained. We understand the nuances of what we do. We are skilled at what we do, and we bring certain abilities which you just can't simply essentially replicate in a day, in a week, or a month. And that's why I really push on this notion of certification. People going in and saying, I am at this level, and I've been accredited by a global body, such as the GCCC, and this is at the level which I'm now operating. So I would ask anybody who is mid to senior level to think about certification, take it seriously, and let's go and practice what we preach. We talk a lot in communications. We say, look, this is what we believe in. But I am firmly of the belief that if you are serious about something, you will turn those words into action. And that's what I think we need to do more of as communicators.
And I knew we would come back in the conversation, because that's where I did the introduction around the certifications you did. And as I said, it made me smile when you had done the CMP and SCMP with IABC. And it was really because you believe in the value of certification and what it'll do for people's careers. So thank you for being an advocate in that area and actually leading by example. I would love to dearly see others lead by example by doing it. So great advice, Alex. Now, I am going to give you the one last piece of advice you can share with, an up-and-coming communication professional of the things that they could be doing, the one or two things they could be doing in their career now.
I think my one simplest piece of advice would be keep learning, keep asking questions. I think keep being curious. Don't look, especially from the client side, don't focus internally. Get outside of the office, trying to understand who you are dealing with. I think one area that we need to get better as communicators is this notion of psychology, of actually understanding what makes our stakeholders tick. What matters to them, not just in terms of what they say, but also as well what they do and why they do it. So I think these elements make a huge difference in terms of being a good communicator and being a brilliant communicator. If you can, take those elements, distill them, and go practice them on a daily basis, that will make a world of difference as to not just what you do, but why you do it.
Thank you very, very much for sharing that. This has been really handy, and I'm sure those listening will get a lot of takeaways in terms of where they should be focusing their career now. And I think we're in an exciting phase, Alex, as we move into the future of communication and where it's all heading. So thank you so much for sharing your insights today and your career journey. There's a lot of learning in this one. So thanks for being part of this, Alex.
It's my pleasure, Adrian. Thank you for having me on. I've really enjoyed the conversation.
Excellent. I look forward to talking to you again sometime. But that's it for today. Please stay tuned for next episode of Reviews from the Top. And if there's anything you need, please do check out the website for any tools or insights or articles that you want that will help you in your career. So thanks again, Alex, for joining us. And I look forward to seeing you and talking with everybody next time.